What's up, everybody? This is Gary Holt from Exodus and formerly from Slayer, and you're listening to The Razor's Edge.
Welcome back to The Razor's Edge, where tonight we have cage fight and Tesseract guitarist James Monteith with us. James, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Before we get started talking about the stunning new Cage Fight album, I want to jump back in time to how you first got into heavy music. So where did your journey begin?
I suppose guitar music was probably, I guess, a lot from my dad. 'Cause I used to play a lot of sort of blues and rock music when I was growing up. He played guitar a little bit as well, and the banjo, interestingly. Um, and Yeah, I think I went to the first few like gigs with him. Like, I remember specifically one I remember was he took me to see Chuck Berry when I was like very little,
Very
and
cool.
that kind of stuck with me. And like the
Yeah,
importance of what Chuck had done for pop music essentially is unquestionable. And so it's amazing to have that experience. But I think it was when I really wanted to play heavy music was I think when I was about 12 when I discovered Guns N' Roses
yeah,
and the Use Your Illusion albums just blew my mind. I think just like the guitar sound just like was
yeah.
just like yes, that's it, that's what I like. And then from there, I guess I discovered loads of Metallica, and then went down like sort of the old sort of the big bands of the time sort of
Yeah.
route, like Megadeth and Slayer, um, Pantera, and so on, then went from there.
Yeah. It's people of our age, I think it's very similar route because I could almost repeat exactly the Guns N'
Mm,
Roses into the Metallica into the Megadeth and all of that. So it's a very
mm,
for our generation. I think that's a very similar route, isn't it?
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so I went back through our archives, and the last time I interviewed you was on the debut Cage Fight album cycle, and a lot has gone on with the band in the last 4 years. So how has the ride with Cage Fight been, and is it what you expected?
Um, well, I didn't really expect anything, so it's quite interesting. I think it's been an interesting ride because it sort of was something that just came from basically a bit of fun that sort of evolved into something substantial. But we never really took it that seriously on the first record. We just did what we wanted, and we're lucky to get some great opportunities from it and
Yeah,
establish ourselves as a real band. But I think now, I guess we're about 3 years on from that record. We maybe even 4 years on from that
4 years,
record. Wow, yeah. We've
2022.
we've got yeah, yeah. Well, um, we've gotten to know each other much more as musicians and as people, and also what we kind of enjoy and what we want to do. And I think over the last 4 years we've actually been like, okay, actually, let's try and do something that we really want to do, not just go with the flow. Well, there's nothing wrong with the first album, Go with the Flow. It was literally just we just rode with whatever happened.
Mm.
Whereas I think now we have an idea of what we want to sound like, what we want to do, be a bit more adventurous in what we want to explore musically. And yeah, I guess we've evolved into something still kind of fundamentally the same, but just I guess something that's allowed us to explore our interests a bit more.
Yeah. And did you think Cage Fight would be as popular as they have become now?
No, again, I really had no expectation for this, so it's kind of incredible that we've been able to get to do what we've got to do, and we've had the opportunities that have come to us. So yeah,
Yeah. Um, and I guess the main difference in that 4 years, well, if you compare now to then, is that you got Will on bass replacing John in the original lineup. So what happened with
yeah.
John, and where did you find Will to replace him?
Well, John and I actually we started as you may remember, we kind of started it together before, and it was just a bedroom thing over lockdown. Um, but I guess a few years into it, it just, I mean, like in lots of, musical relationships, it just wasn't really working.
Hmm.
There were just, differences of opinion, differences of, many differences, and basically we just sort of agreed to part ways.
Yeah,
Um, Whereas Will was actually my deck guitar player when I couldn't play in the earlier days of Cage Fight, and so he already knew, the old songs, and he was really keen to get more involved. And so he basically joined on bass, and has been like a really integral part of the band ever since. Like so he's been a real asset to the team.
Absolutely, yeah. We love Will. He's great. He's great. We interviewed him at Bloodstock, I think, over the summer. So yeah.
Mm. Mm.
So the second Cage Fight album, Exuvia, is that right? Exuvia,
Mm.
arrives May
Exuvia, yeah.
1st. So at what point after the debut did you decide this has been a successful enough project that we'll carry on, we'll do a second album?
I don't know actually. It's probably a year or two on. Um, so I think one or two of the riffs. I mean, everything is post the new album, but a couple of them go back to not long after the first album came out. But we didn't really force anything or work particularly hard on it. I think it was when we had the lineup change. We were like, okay, right, maybe this is an opportunity to reinvent ourselves, and that's when we sort of got our heads down and started working a lot harder. Um, but yeah, again, I think we initially started writing new ideas just naturally because it was fun without any particular agenda. Um, but yeah, I think it was 2023, I suppose, was when when Will joined, we
Yeah,
started basically knuckling down and getting ideas done. We wrote it all by 2024 because it's taken a while for this to come out.
yeah,
Um, uh, so yeah, I don't know if
yeah.
that answers it. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Did you approach this album any differently?
Um, yes and no. I think we didn't consciously approach it differently, but I think naturally it was way more because we knew each other musically. Like the collaboration was made most of what people could bring to the table. Whereas,
Yeah,
I guess on the first record, it's just we ran with whatever stuck, and there were lots of
yeah,
pre-ideas before we were jamming that were kind of solidified. So I think, I mean, Nick's brought loads more to the table in terms of like rhythmic ideas. Will's brought a lot to the table in terms of like ideas as well. And I guess the main thing is uh, Rachel's the majority like
yeah.
lyricist for this record, and and she's also had the confidence to bring musical ideas and melodies as well. So I guess everyone was feeling much more comfortable to be much more collaborative and really bring what they can do to the table, which is the main difference.
Yeah, and do you think that's helped you grow as a band to expand your sound? Because it is not very different, but it is a different sounding album to the debut.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. I think we've also it's allowed us to be a bit more confident in trying slightly different things. Obviously, we haven't reinvented anything. It is very much I don't know, metal music, but I think we've had the confidence to basically experiment and try things that are a bit different. There's a bit more melody in there. There's acoustic guitar in there, and things like that we wouldn't have dared to think about doing on the first record.
Yeah, no,
Mm.
I think the first record was almost like a true crossover thrash hardcore record, whereas I think there's more hardcore elements I found when I first listened to it in this album than the previous album. Is that like a conscious decision or is it just naturally what comes?
I mean, yeah, no, I wasn't. I never really thought of it that way at all myself, actually. So yeah, it definitely wasn't a conscious um, addition. I don't think, I don't think anything was particularly conscious. We just wanted to do something we really enjoyed,
Yeah,
and we were vibing off, but be a little bit more refined and I don't know, yeah, just confident to basically expand the sound palette a little bit, I think.
yeah. And you mentioned Rachel's lyrics and what she brings to the table, and I think um, especially on a song like Pig, there is very poignant and leaning towards how men interact with women on social media. And I wanted to ask, are you surprised by what Rachel experiences on social media? And do
I
you,
mean,
do you think it's,
initially, yes. So go on.
I was going to say, are you surprised? But do you think it's important that you as a band call out what these things that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes and yes. I mean, we were surprised. When we in fact, we first started talking about this idea when we were actually recording the first album. Like, we hadn't written the song, but we talked about the concept of it.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Yeah, I get all these awful messages." And I remember we were sitting around having, having some food, and she got out our phone and then just started showing us pictures of penises and stuff like that. And at first, like, you laugh and then you're horrified, and you're like, actually, somebody's just, like, and then she was like, "Yeah, no, yeah, no, it happens to other people too," and it's just, yeah. So yeah, it was initially a shock, but then after processing it, it sort of made you like people on the internet. I think struggle sometimes to realize there's somebody on the other end. Like
Hmm.
on a more basic level, when you read comments on, I don't know, a comment section on Facebook or whatever, where people are like just slagging people off, and they don't really think that there's a real person that's going to see that and
Yeah.
read it and be affected by it. And I think it's the same with this. People see somebody who's like musician, and they just want they type before they think, or take a photo before. Or I don't know. It's basically got us thinking about why people do that, and then
Hmm.
and I think absolutely yes. I think part of the song is to raise awareness of it, and also just trying to educate people a little bit, just saying, this is not a way to conduct yourself. Like, think about what you're doing before you do it. And
Yeah.
would you do that in real life? I mean, it's in a way, it's kind of no different to like the creepy person down the park flashing people. But the internet's just made it so much easier for people to do it that more people will go, "Oh, I'll give that a go."
which,
I
which
don't know.
which is weird, really, because you wouldn't walk out with your raincoat on just to do that, but obviously people think it's acceptable online.
Yeah, and yeah, it's quite funny. Like, because we had that video of that went quite viral earlier this year, and the vast majority of people were massively supportive of it, and some people were shocked by it. And then, but then you do get like a small contingent of people who come out sort of like accusing us of being like, annoying woke people or whatever. And it's just like, but I'll take that. It's like, being woke basically means being aware, being socially aware of, of these kind of issues and talking about them. It's just like it's called being a grown up, right?
Yeah, yeah. I find whenever I get called that, it's not an insult. You're saying that because you think you're insulting me, but I don't
Mm,
see that as an insult. It's proud to be woke because that's a good thing.
absolutely, yeah. And yeah, so I think it's important to have these debates. Also, not to be sort of too preachy and judgmental, but it's just like raising awareness and
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you mentioned that video, and obviously there's quite a few like screenshots on that video. Are they
Mm.
all ones that Rachel has personally received? Are they like
Uh,
real genuine messages?
yes, they're all genuine messages. Personally, she's received, but also in the lead up, basically, she put out a call on Instagram saying, "Anyone else these kind of messages, hit me up." And then she basically got other women to donate messages like to the video. But yeah, everything in there is genuine.
Yeah, and that's fairly shocking, really, isn't it? Um,
Yeah, I mean, what's shocking is, I mean, I've still got a folder on my hard drive of all these messages and pictures. I should really delete them now because I don't want them.
yeah, especially the pictures, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Um, yeah. As the reviews come in for your second album, do you pay attention to what the press have to say about it?
Uh, yes, I do. But also, yeah, I think it's I like to hear what people think, and I think it's me personally, I do. But I also don't take things too personally because I'm used to this. Uh, um, I think, yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, because reviews are a funny one. I mean, it's obviously very nice when people compliment you, and it can
Yeah.
be quite upsetting if people say that something's terrible. But I mean, we haven't had any terrible ones yet, but it's early days.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I definitely pay attention because it's just good to see what people are saying.
Yeah. And moving on then, post album, and touring, if you like, you've just actually finished up the tour with Employed to Serve that we caught you on in Wolverhampton. It seems
Mm.
like you were having a lot of fun on the tour.
Mm. It was a wonderful tour actually. Like the Employed to Serve guys are absolutely lovely. Or like, just really just really nice people to tour with. Like yeah, just we got on with them brilliantly. Um, uh, Justine was singing Pig with us, and Rachel was singing one of their tracks with them as well. And it was just really nice vibes, really fun, and good crowds as well. Like everyone was super nice, like nice people. I mean, it's not very metal to say, isn't it? But it was just a really nice tour.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the years, live wise, your lineup has fluctuated quite a bit. You mentioned Will deputised for yourself before joining the band full time. I think I've seen Cage Fight at least 7, maybe 8 times now, and I was
Yeah.
working out earlier, probably 5 different live lineups. So does the having to switch in and out of lineups on tour affect the dynamics at all?
I think it definitely changes it because everybody's an individual, but I think for the most part, the vibe stays pretty much the same. Like on the Svalbard tour, Dave joined us for the first time because he replaced he replaced me, but he was playing bass and moved on to guitar for that.
Yes.
And then on the ETS tour, just gone, Will couldn't make it because he's just had a baby.
Yeah.
So Dave stayed on, and actually this summer I can't do some of the festivals coming up. So Dave's actually going to go on to guitar because he's a really good guitarist.
Yeah.
He's one of those annoying people. He's a really good guitarist, bassist, and he's a really good singer. So he can basically fill in for everyone. Um, but yeah, I don't know, I think we very much try and keep the vibe the same. And but yeah, I think they'll always be slightly different because we're slightly different people.
Yeah.
Actually, a question for you: what's the best lineup you've ever seen?
I
Maybe
think
don't answer that.
I I thought you were really good in Wolverhampton, but that's obviously with Dave. I think the best live lineup is actually your recording lineup with Will on bass, you on guitar. I think that's good. I've seen Will on guitar at least twice when there was someone else deputising for him. I can't remember who it was who was deputising for Will, and Will was deputising for you. And that had quite a good dynamic as well, where Will sort of takes over control of the stage, and like you did on the recent tour, and in
Mm,
between songs, the banter, etc. But yeah, I think your recording lineup is probably your best live lineup.
excellent. That's definitely the politically correct thing to say.
um, Obviously, you've got commitments with Tesseract as well, which takes you away from the band, and hence you switch lineups. When the band goes on tour without you, do you ever get FOMO that you're not out with them and you're doing other things?
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm really, really jealous. I really want to be able
Um,
to.
and now following up the album, you've obviously just supported Employed to Serve. Do you intend to do your own headline tour at any point?
Um, we do, yes. I don't. We haven't figured out when that will be. It definitely won't be. Probably won't be to next year. Because I think at the moment we're basically juggling some other potential options for later on in the year,
Okay.
with other bands and
Yeah.
some support opportunities. So I think we want to get those done. We may even release some more music if we have to. So we've still got a few songs in the bag we haven't put out. So, but that's not definite. But they will hopefully be ahead. I reckon next year at some point.
So you're talking maybe an EP in the future rather than a full length or another full length.
Yeah, or even just another song, or
Yeah.
2 songs. I don't know. We're not quite sure yet. So we won't be ready to do another record next year, but that'll be a bit soon. But
Yeah.
we're thinking of. Well, we don't know. We're chucking around loads of ideas at the moment,
It sounds
so we'll see.
interesting. Yeah, absolutely. So moving forwards, where do you see Cage Fight going next? What happens to the band after this record?
Um, Again, I don't really know. We haven't got a set plan, but we're picking up some good momentum now, and I think I'd just like to get out there as much as possible and see where it takes us. And the other guys are very driven, especially Rachel. She basically wants to, she really wants to, do absolutely everything she can,
Yeah,
and basically make the biggest success of it. So I want to do my best to help facilitate that. But yeah, I guess we don't know, so we shall see. But we're going to try our hardest to take it as far as we can.
excellent. Well, James, thank you for spending some time chatting with us this evening. Exuvia comes out on May the 1st on Spinefarm. And yeah, I've been lucky enough. You sent over a copy to me in June of last year, so I've had it
Oh wow.
quite a while to listen to, and I think it's an excellent album and definitely a step up from your debut. So I wish you all the best with it.
Well, thank you very much, Tim. Lovely to chat.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with all of our interviews by subscribing to our channel. For all the latest news, reviews, interviews, and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.